Welcome to 4-Star Chicago Sports, and this is a celebratory Northside 9 as the Cubs down the Brewers in 3, sending them on
Padres.
The Padres sending them up I-94 to face the Brewers. Get hype, baseball fans. The playoffs just got spicy. Sometimes the storylines write themselves, and this is one. NL Central rivals. This is going to be a truly epic matchup, and we're going to break it down right after this.
Windy City banners rocking 4 stars aligned. Dynasty dreams rise, Bulls in their prime. Cubs curse shattered, the victory divine. Fields be running, clock ticking on my timeline. Shot-town heroes, legends never fade. Black Hawks flying, cutting ice with the blade. White Sox diamonds, the Southside parade. 4 stars shine bright, legacies they made. Mike with the crown, air rain, no dispute. Sweetness in the backfield, Walter in pursuit. Bear down Sunday's midfield, battles cute. Chicago.
Well, Kyle, we made it. We're into the next round, baby. How you feeling after that exhilarating victory and Brad Keller almost collapsing in the 9th inning?
Yeah, I mean, I feel good, Sean, but of course the Cubs couldn't get out of there without any drama. There had to be drama, and I knew the second he was like, I'm going to try to make Brad Keller pitch 2 innings for the first time all season. I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well, and sure enough, he started to fall apart a little bit, but good for Kittredge to come in and close it out, Sean. Nice job by Kittredge.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that this was a precursor to what's actually going to happen in this next series. I mean, I guess if you split it up, Palencia, Kittredge, Keller, you keep that heat, non-heat, but Kittredge was getting it up to 97 in the series himself. He was coming blazing fastballs out of that.
And pitching all 3 days in a row.
Yeah, I mean, absolute stub muffin. And you know, we're gonna look at this next series and say, hey man, we got to be worried about the Brewers. Well, I've been saying this for weeks and weeks on end. I wanted the Brewers. I think the Cubs are better than the Brewers, top to bottom. Obviously, game 1 started for the Brewers will be Freddie Peralta. He is the best pitcher in this series. It's really not even close. The series opens up with the Brewers minus 147 favorites. The Cubs are plus 122. The spread in game 1 is the Brewers minus 1.5, and our over-under is 7 runs in game 1 of the NLDS, set for tomorrow from American Family Field in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Cubs played the Brewers 13 times this season, with the Cubs winning that series 7-6, outscoring the Brewers 60-56 on the year. Very, very close. The Cubs finished obviously 92-70 with a 42-39 road record as they punched their ticket to play Milwaukee. Milwaukee will defend their home with a 52-29 mark in the on the season. This best of 5 series could not come at a better time in sports. I think this is great for sports to have 2 rivals battling it out to get to the next stage. Man, the series.
Oh, and Phillies-Dodgers.
Phillies-Dodgers.
Those are rivals as well.
Yeah, and you know you have the Cubs. The Cubs will open obviously tomorrow 1:08 in Milwaukee. Then they will play Monday night 8:08 in Milwaukee before this series shifts to Chicago for games 3 and 4. Those times are not announced as of yet, but games 3 will be Wednesday and Thursday. With if there's a needed game 5 will then be Saturday, October 11th. So going into the series, Kyle, what are your thoughts, man? Where are you at? There's so much to break down. Hey, we got Swaggy McNolegs in the house. What's going on, brother? Thanks for jumping in, man.
Well, Sean, you know I talked about before the Padres series. If you take the Cubs pitching staff and you condense it or consolidate it into the best players you have available, it actually looks pretty good. I mean, their bullpen, when you have guys like Palencia and Brad Keller and Thielbar, it's actually one of the better bullpens in baseball. But here's the problem, Sean. When you stretch this into a best of 5 series and you need to use more pitching, I just don't know where it's coming from. I feel like the Cubs are going to run out of pitching at some point. I feel like they almost did it in game 3 against the Padres. So It's definitely an uphill battle due to all the injuries that the Cubs pitching staff has sustained this year. It's going to be a much tougher series than I think the Padres was. And you know what weird thing about the Padres series, Sean, is every team that won with 3 runs. I thought that was weird, but this is going to be a tough one. But like you said, Sean, if you look at the teams on paper, the Cubs have a much better lineup than the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, if you look at the hitting, they are a much, much better lineup than the Milwaukee Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers got a bunch of contributions this year from a bunch of guys we've never even heard of. We knew that they wouldn't play like they were right after the All-Star break for the entire rest of the season. They did slow down at the end of the season. They started to look more like an average lineup, although their pitching did continue to play well. It's going to be tough, Sean. And I've said this to you before, and Sean, you correct me if you think I'm wrong, but if I'm the Cubs, I'm pitching Colin Ray in game 1 and just giving game 1 to the Brewers. I mean, Freddie Peralta is the best pitcher, like you said, Sean, on both of these rosters.
Yes.
You're probably not going to win that game. They've been sitting there resting. You just went through one of the most dramatic series in recent history as a Cubs fan. I would just put Colin Ray out there and cross my fingers, and then I hope you can win game 2 with Boyd or Imanaga, and then game 3 with Boyd or Imanaga. But the Cubs have not had a lot of success against Peralta in his career, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, Sean.
And we got Peralta. We got Peralta right here on the season versus the Cubs. In games he started, they were 3-1. He had a 343 earned run average, 21 innings pitched, 22 Ks, 10 walks, 12 hits, 8 earned runs. 3 home runs allowed, but a 164 batting average against. 5 of those runs did come on that short rest that he had leading into that 7:30 series. He pitched on 4 days rest. It was also his shortest outing of the season by a third of an inning. He was pulled in the 4th. His second shortest outing was 4 1/3. So the Cubs did chase him. Now he's going to be, I don't know the last time he pitched, but you're probably looking at least 10 days rest for him. And for me, this could go one of 2 ways. Maybe he comes out a little rusty and the Cubs can jump on him early, maybe get a couple of big home runs as the Cubs are fresh, or the Cubs bats go in a 2-week slump like they did after they popped champagne bottles the last time. Let's hope that doesn't happen, because there's no margin for error as every pitch and every at bat counts. Kyle, I was going to say, I would almost like the Cubs to start this series with Javier Assad.
Yeah, now, or Colin Ray. Either one, interchangeable.
The reason why I don't want Colin Ray is because if we look at this top line right here, he pitched against them on 729 and 820 down the stretch of the season. Those 2 starts did not go well for the Chicago Cubs. They beat the living crap out of him. And they haven't faced Assad, and they haven't faced Soroka this season at all, not even when Soroka was on the Nationals. You know, they only play him 6 times, so it didn't match up when those series were for Washington played, and he got hurt, so wasn't available for the Cubs when they played Milwaukee. But when you look at this, how would you feel about possibly having Soroka or Assad, Soroka back it up, or maybe even Colin Ray, because you almost guarantee that Matthew Boyd will start on Monday for the Cubs, even though if we go back to this chart, he also had 2 starts on 728 and 819, 1-1, 784 earned run average, and 10 innings pitched, 12 hits, 2 dingers, 9 earned runs, 8 walks, 5 Ks, and the Brewers had a 293 batting average against. The one thing I'm going to say about all this, Kyle, before you answer how you'd like this rotation to do, stats tell us about the past. They don't tell us what's going to happen in the future. It is a good outlier. It doesn't mean that Matthew Boyd can't come out and give us 5 or 6 good innings against the Brewers. That's all I'm going to say. But we'll go from there.
In baseball, it's tough to look at statistics against a certain team at a certain time and be like, oh, man, this guy struggled against this team. You know, there was times where Colin Ray struggled for months against basically every team he played, and there's times where Colin Ray was great for months against every team he played. I think it's just more a victim of circumstance. Like, you know, Colin Ray has these moments where that's why he has a career ERA of 4.5, because he has these moments where he pitches really well, and he has these moments where he doesn't pitch very well. And if he's on, if it's one of the months or spans in which he's on, I think Colin Ray's as good as anybody in the Cubs rotation. But Yeah, I mean, Sean, basically, just don't waste Boyd or Tyan, or who obviously cannot pitch in this game, or Imanaga against Peralta, because I think the Brewers are probably going to win that game one, just because. And Swaggy McNoleg says here, PCA and Tucker both 5 for 11 off Peralta this season. Yeah, I understand that, but you guys, if you look back at the past and Peralta's numbers against the Cubs, if you look at a large sample size of Peralta against the Cubs, I believe he's top 5 in ERA against the Cubs in the history of the Chicago Cubs.
He is.
I know at one point he was. So
yes,
there's just something about Peralta. He likes playing the Cubs. The Cubs
here, and Kyle
very well against him.
Let's be honest. He had 2 outings where he allowed no runs this year, and let's be he pitched 21 innings. If you take that short rested 5-run earned run start out, he dominated the Cubs this year. So I mean, 22 strikeouts in 21 innings. He averaged 6 strikeouts per start versus the Cubs. And if you're looking at, a short series, maybe you get 6 out of him. He's been pretty dominant in each of those starts, and I don't hold it against them because of the 4 days rest. The Brewers did what they had to do. They were obviously going off the history, trying to get a win and push the Cubs further away in the division. So I would say this, though, if history were to repeat itself, much like it did, and the reason why I said that thing about the stats is when you look at Game 2 of the Padres series and you look at Mustache Man Dylan Cease having a 550 earned run average on the road. Well, that cake didn't bake. He came out and dominated the Cubs for most of that game. So that's why I'm saying, Peralta, maybe I'm here for me. I'm hoping that the Cubs can jump on him early. Maybe he comes out. He's a little rusty after having this long extended rest, sitting there waiting for the Cubs. And hopefully so are the Brewers as a team a little bit rusty. Sometimes the bye doesn't always help you. We've seen this in all sports.
Well, sure.
Start a little slow.
Swag McNoleg says it right here. NL bye teams are 1-5. Dodgers last year are the only winner. So I like that stat. I like that a lot. And yeah, Sean, sometimes, it goes one or 2 ways. Either the rest is great for teams and they use it to their advantage and they're smart about it, or the rest kind of cools everybody off and they come out kind of sluggish. I would hope it's the latter, but I don't know, man. I just don't. If you ask me if there's name 5 pitchers in baseball you don't want the Cubs to play Saturday, Peralta would probably be on the list. He's a damn good pitcher. He is. I know I hate the Brewers, guys. I don't like giving him credit in any way, shape, or form, but Freddie Peralta is a damn good pitcher. He is. And if he decides that he wants more money next year and the Brewers are like, oh, we just can't pay that, we're going to have to let you go, I hope to God he comes to the Cubs. I would be ecstatic if that happened. But yeah, it's just going to be, it's a tall task to ask to go into Milwaukee, Game 1 of a playoff series, and beat Freddie Peralta, the team that had the best record in baseball. But stranger things have happened. There's been games where the Cubs were facing phenomenal pitchers that were supposed to dominate the Cubs, and the Cubs ended up beating them. It happens all the time. That's the great thing about sports. But I personally, if I'm Craig Counsell, I'm saving my big arms for their weaker arms, and I'm putting a Colin Ray or a Javier Assad out there tomorrow against Peralta and just keeping my fingers crossed and hoping we get lucky. I like what Swaggy McNoleg said about Tucker and PCA, because you guys, Tucker and PCA have to have better series this series than they did against the Padres.
I was gonna save this, but this is what PCA and Kyle Tucker absolutely mashed against Milwaukee this season. The one thing I would like to see, obviously, is those strikeouts go down. 43 at bats for PCA, 12 strikeouts. I want to see him a little bit more patient at the plate. The 2 things that worry me, and we're going to get back to the pitching here because I want to get into potential Game 2 Priester versus Matthew Boyd, which it does look like it will be. And really quick, before we move on to PCA and we get into those splits, at home this year, Freddie Peralta, 177 earned run average, 9 wins behind 1 loss, 17 games started, 91 innings pitched, 108 strikeouts behind 28 walks, and teams hit 192 against him. During the day, he was a little bit worse at home, 286, 6-3 record. 16 or during the day, during the season, not just at home. I'm sorry, just during the day, he was 6-3, 16 games started, 100 strikeouts, 31 walks. So, and teams hit 175 against him. So he doesn't give up a lot of hits. You have to figure out a way to manufacture runs, and the best way to do that would be to get PCA on base and get him putting some pressure, kind of like they did early against San Diego yesterday. For me, though, I'm with you, Kyle. We need PCA and Kyle Tucker to be PCA and Kyle Tucker to pull this series off. The reason we were successful against them this year, you're looking at the numbers. These are the reasons we were successful. Because if you look at Seiya Suzuki, and I'm going to scare you guys when I say this, and I really apologize, but this is really scary. Seiya, 50 at-bats against Milwaukee. He had 6 hits, 22 strikeouts behind 7 walks. He hit 120. And then
and Sean, real quick, I mean, you can look at those numbers from PCA and Kyle Tucker, but let's face it, guys. PCA and Kyle Tucker were playing their best when they just so happened to run into the Brewers, and they were playing well in general. And Seiya Suzuki was in a massive slump for every time he played the Brewers. He was in one of his slumps. Like, would it surprise you at all, Sean, if PCA and Kyle Tucker struggled against the Brewers and Seiya Suzuki had 3 home runs in this series?
No,
like, not at all. That's baseball. Like, it's just it doesn't. I don't think it necessarily matters so much the opponent as it does just how you are at the time that you play them. Sometimes these guys go into massive slumps, and it doesn't matter who they're playing. I mean, Seiya Suzuki, when he was in his slump, looked bad against bad pitchers. And when he was playing well and he wasn't in a slump, he looked good against good pitchers. I mean, that's just the way baseball is. These guys just go through these. It's weird. It's one of the weirdest. It's the weirdest sport in the world. But yeah, I mean, Sean, I'll tell you this. 2 things. First of all, they absolutely need Kyle Tucker and PCA to play well in this series to win the series. It's not a question. Not even a question. And number 2, that middle defense needs to play exactly like it did against the Padres. I mean, Dansby, we talked about who's going to be the player of the series against the Padres. I think I picked Horner, you picked Suzuki. Dansby Swanson was the best player.
Runaway winner.
And I don't even give a shit if he didn't have a single hit. I don't care.
Runaway hitter.
I mean, that guy had to save like 8 runs against the Padres. It's a completely different series if you have an average shortstop on the Chicago Cubs against the Padres. He was absolutely astonishing, remarkable. That's why Dansby Swanson is here, guys. That's why. It's not because he's going to hit 50 home runs. It's because of what he did the last 3 days against the Padres.
100%. And Mike Schlitt was very kind. Had very kind words for Dansby Swanson in his post presser, saying that glove single-handedly eliminated us from the series. That came from the manager, not me. So he was recognized there. And you know, I'm with you. I'm with you, Mr. Harper. His bat is hot, and we need Seiya to get through the series, because I know where the Brewers pitching staff was, and I have their stats in all my notes for the season. They finished top 6 in bullpen. They finished top 3 in Milwaukee. Finished second in earned run average among MLB staffs at 359, and their bullpen finished 6th overall. It just doesn't scare me. The Cubs just went through a better pitching staff, and they were able to manufacture runs, get this win. I think if the Cubs come out and pitch as well as they did against San Diego, and these starters look as well, I'd like to see the Cubs try and stretch these starters out a little bit more. I thought Jamison Taillon yesterday probably could have went another inning. Where was your head at with that? I didn't like that. I thought, I was like, and I don't want to rip on Council too much, because I thought game 1 was a masterclass. I thought game 3 was really good, and game 2 I thought he blew it with Shota. So where's your head at with that, Kyle?
Well, I mean, Sean, they don't have an option. It's not 3 games.
Right.
It's best of 5. So you need as much pit. You need these starters to go deeper into play games. That you absolutely have to. You can't pull these guys at 3 innings pitched and start bringing in your bullpen, because you're going to tax your bullpen, and you might need them for a game 4 or a game 5. I mean, the Cubs don't have an option. If Jamison Taillon's pitching the way he was yesterday, he needs to go more than 5 or 6 innings. He has to. It absolutely has to. It's not an option. But yeah, I mean, I understand what Craig Counsell was doing. It was a consolidated series. It was best of 3. He knew he only had to win 2. So the way he managed the bullpen against the Padres is actually very impressive. Now, I'm not a huge fan of making guys do things they've never done before in the playoffs, like asking Brad Keller to pitch 2 full innings when he's never done it. Get Rich to start. Like that type of stuff. I think sometimes the managers in baseball kind of outsmart themselves. They're like, let's do things we've never done before instead of doing what got us here, and that usually doesn't end up very well. I mean, Sean, you remember in 2016 where Aroldis Chapman was getting beat up a little bit. Yeah. He came out publicly and was like, and the national media, and was like, I don't I never said I could pitch 2 innings in a row. I never said that. I'm a dominant 1 inning pitcher. That's what I am. That's what I want to be. I don't know why I'm getting thrown out for 2 innings at a time. And that ultimately in Game 7, Chapman pitching too much bit the Cubs in the ass. Now, luckily for us, they came back to win that series and won the World Series. But at the end of the day, man, just do what got you there, right? Just do what got you there. I like Craig's rotation, his lineup rotation in the San Diego Padres series. I like putting PCA at the middle to the bottom of the order. I just think with his struggles lately, I think you got to try to find a way to spark that bat. I like what he did. Council had a very good series.
I think Council did. I thought he blew that game in Game 2. I did not think Shota should have pitched against Machado. I think I put that in our group chat. Like, he should be pulled right now. And then next thing you know, he hit a moonshot. And that was the ball game. But let's be honest, the first run was the ball game in that game because the Cubs just couldn't put it together. And again, that could happen against Freddie Peralta. And I'm just gonna say, guys, don't hold your head down because we're used to Freddie Peralta being our daddy. And that's just the fact of life. And unfortunately, I hate to say that because I'm like you, Kyle. I don't want to give those piece of craps any kind of props, but unfortunately, he's our daddy. And we have to find a way. I want to give you a couple of insights, Kyle, on both teams really quick, and tell me what you think. After I give you these insights, tell me your best way you think to attack the Brewers. The Brewers had finished with the number 3 offense in baseball, scoring 5 runs per game, 806 total. They averaged 1 home run per game, which ranks 22nd in Major League Baseball. They had 166 total home runs. They were second in major leagues with a 258 batting average. Milwaukee's batters strike out 7.8 times per game. That is the 5th lowest in Major League Baseball. The Brewers pitching staff is 4th in the majors with a collective 9.0 strikeouts per 9 innings. And as we just stated, they had the 2nd ranked team earned run average at 359. When we flip it over to the Cubs scored the 5th most runs in Major League Baseball at 793. The Cubs had 223 home runs, which ranked 6th. The Cubs were 13th in Major League Baseball with a 249 batting average. They ranked 6th in Major League Baseball in strikeouts per 9 innings at 7.9. They also, their Cubs pitching staff averaged 7.9 strikeouts per 9 innings, which was 27th in baseball. The Cubs finished with the 8th best earned run average in major leagues at 3.80. Couple of key players here, and this is the guy I really want to ask you about how you maintain a guy like Bryce, or how you control a guy like Bryce Terang. He led the Brewers in batting average at 288. He was unconscious after the All-Star break, and he pretty much keyed this team to victory, or keyed this team down the stretch, I should say. You have Wilson Contreras, a known Cubs killer, finished at 260. Christian Yelich finished the season 264 with a team high 29 home runs, 103 RBIs, and their rookie Jackson Chourio had 148 hits, and I had a 308 slugging percentage to go with a 463 on base percentage on the year. So we went over some Cubs stats. Kyle, what's your best way for the Cubs to attack this Brewers team? Limit them. Because they don't slug. It's going to be these little rinky-dink.
They want to move the line. That's what the Brewers do. They're good at getting runners in scoring position and bringing them home. So you guys, there's going to be traffic on the base paths against the Brewers, no doubt about it. With the Cubs pitching staff, we're talking about Colin Ray, you're talking about Matthew Boyd, you just showed Imanaga. There's going to be traffic on the bases. You just have to limit the damage. That's the way you beat the Brewers. You have to limit the damage. If you get somebody on first and second, 1 out, you got to find a way to get a strikeout. You got to find a way to make them hit and do a double play. I mean, because this team, like you said, Sean, they're going to beat you with the small ball. None of them are like huge home run hitters, but they're all pretty good with runners in scoring position, especially the top of the lineup. And Bryce Terang, man, I despise the guy, but he's been absolutely amazing.
So good, dude.
288 is nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, the Brewers are going to try to beat you with small balls. So the Cubs, if I'm Craig Counsell, I mean, you got to hit home runs, guys. You have to hit home runs because it takes them 4 or 5 batters to scrape across 2 or 3 runs, the Cubs could tie this game with one swing of the bat. They're much better at it than the Milwaukee Brewers. Say Suzuki is hitting for power, Michael Busch is hitting for power, Kyle Tucker can hit for power, PCA can hit for power. I mean, the whole Cubs lineup can hit home run at any given moment outside of maybe Nico Horner. So
you almost hit one yesterday.
Yeah, the Cubs have to continue to hit home runs. I know they didn't hit a ton of home runs in that Padres series, but they hit enough. All you got to do is hit enough to win the game. And if they continue to do that, I think they have a good chance against the Brewers. Now, listen, you guys, this is a good baseball team. There's no doubt about it. I know Cubs fans hate the Brewers. So they always try to find a way to make them sound like the worst baseball team and they're lucky and all this. They're a good baseball team and they're very well managed. But the Cubs can beat them. We've seen it. They won the series in the regular season. They can do the same thing in the playoffs. Now, listen, Sean, not having Cade Horton, that hurts. That hurts. And maybe there's a chance he's back at the end of the series. I don't know. But if the Cubs want to win the series, they have to hit home runs. And I know that's so easy to say. And people are like, oh, you said the same thing about the Padres. It's kind of a cop-out. But listen, there's 2 types of teams in baseball. There's 2 types of offenses. Either you can win by small ball and moving the line and getting guys across home plate, or you can win by the long ball. And if the Cubs are going to beat the Brewers, I think they have to hit more home runs than the Brewers. I think that's the only way they can beat them.
And since you mentioned his name, I wanted to get into this Cade Horton thing for our Cubby fans out there. I think it's fair to say, reading this situation, I looked into this and I actually went on X and I talked to a couple of sports doctors that are on X and they were kind enough to respond to me. And one of them responded to me that said, the rib fracture, even on the milder end of the spectrum, usually means missing about 6 weeks. He said, one player, I have to go back because I forgot to write his name down. One player since 2021 to 2024 had a 41-day stint where he returned. He said that's the best case scenario. He said most cases fall closer to an 88-day average, which is just under 3 months to push for a full recovery. And for the Cubs, that would put them well into the offseason. So I guess it really depends. The Cubs haven't used the term done for the season outright, and they haven't said anything like that. I think they're just trying to keep our expectations up. But if this doctor is holding true, 88 days, I don't think we see Cade Horton again this year. And that is truly unfortunate because the only way it could get into this series would be with an injury because looking into the rules of the IL, you cannot add him to the active roster because he is on the IL. So someone would have to get hurt during this series, and then they would obviously leave the series, and then you can activate Cade Horton. So, but again, I don't think we're going to see him. I hope I'm wrong because, but at the same time, when you start thinking about that if that injury is bad enough, it's worth considering that it impacts his mechanics, his rotation, his breathing, all of that stuff, so I don't know, man. I'm not getting my hopes up of seeing K back this year, unfortunately. Just trying to be honest with y'all out here. And
yeah, Sean, I don't expect it. I don't expect to see him. And Sean, I heard those doctors reach out to you, talk to you. I heard the same exact thing on 670 The Score. They had a doctor on, and he was like, "Listen, a fractured rib. There's a lot of things you can do with it. Pitching in Major League Baseball is probably not one of those things. He's probably going to need a long. And the more he pitches, and it's still not healed, the more damage he's going to do to it. I mean, that fracture could expand. He could start to tear the cartilage in between the ribs. I mean, they said the same thing. They're like on the 670, they said the odds of him playing at some point the rest of the season are slim to none. So I don't expect to see Cade Horton. And it's unfortunate for the Cubs because I think the Cubs with Cade Horton are definitely a better team than Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
About it. I think Cade Horton could stand up with Freddie Peralta. And I think
I was going to say
game 1. But with the unfortunate bad luck that the Cubs have had with their pitching staff and injuries, this is where you're at. You're going to have to find a way to listen, if there's one good thing about the Chicago Cubs going up against the Milwaukee Brewers is I think what Craig Counsell has been the best at this season is just duct taping this bullpen and rotation together. He's been very good at it all season. Now, listen, Sean, every manager in the world, as fans, we're going to scrutinize, we're going to judge. Every manager in the world makes moves that you're like, yeah, probably wasn't the right move. And hindsight's 2020. And you know what? Jedediah says, I don't think that Imanaga lost that game because the Cubs didn't score any runs. I agree with you.
I agree.
The offense lost the game, but you could tell with the previous at bat that Imanaga, when he was missing his pitches, he was missing badly. Like he was missing a foot outside as opposed to an inch outside. He was missing a foot upstairs. I mean, there were non-competitive pitches. And when you're throwing non-competitive pitches, eventually you're going to get to that 3-2 count and you're going to have to throw something in the middle and they're going to hit it. These are major league hitters and they're in the playoffs. These are good teams. So I agree with Sean. I mean, as much as I love him in Aga, and I do think he had a fairly decent outing. I mean, he only gave up those 2 runs, but you could tell that he was off, and it was a good time for them to pull him, and they didn't, and it bit him in the ass, although it didn't matter because the Cubs scored 0 runs. But, yeah, I mean, Sean, when it comes down to this series, Craig Counsell's going to have to be very creative with his pitching staff because, to be honest with you, Sean, they're going to have to add a few pitchers to the staff. I don't know who you're adding.
I mean, I could see them.
Javier Assad and Jordan Wicks
for sure, and Jordan Wicks would be my best. Would be.
I mean, and Jordan Wicks doesn't instill a ton of confidence in Cubs fans. I mean, we haven't seen enough of him, and even when we have seen him, he has been great.
You do need a couple pitchers in case, like, say this Freddie Peralta game gets out of hand and it's 7-0 Brewers, and you don't really care. You throw in a Jordan Wicks or a Taylor Rogers, and who comes off the roster to add Assad would be the question. My bid would be for Taylor Rogers. I don't know.
I hope so. I mean, don't disrespect Taylor Rogers, guys, but if these are going to be 1-run games, which I have a strong feeling, Sean, we're going to see some 1-run games here, very tense, dramatic moments. I don't want Taylor Rogers pitching against the Brewers. No disrespect to that guy. I don't know much about him, but I know that since the Cubs traded for him, he just hasn't been all that great. He's had outings where he looks good, and he has had outings where he looks like he doesn't belong pitching in Major League Baseball. Sean, real quick, I just want to get into this because Swaggy's asked a couple times now. He says, you sit in Hap game 1?
Do I sit Hap in game 1? No. Who's his defensive replacement?
That would probably have to be Owen Casey or Kevin Alcantara.
If Casey's on the roster, let me look at Ian Happ's splits versus the Brewers this year.
Well, Sean, Casey had some success against Milwaukee Brewers in that 5 games.
He did.
He's a big part of the reason why the Cubs won those middle 3 games. Was
100%.
He was absolutely amazing when he came up here. Now listen.
No, I'm not sitting him against Milwaukee, dude. 41 at bats. He only had 13 strikeouts. He had 2 home runs, 4 doubles, 6 RBIs. He hit 300, 871 OPS. No, I'm leaving Hap.
The more you talk, the harder it is to sit.
I'm leaving Hap in there.
I mean, I don't know if I'd sit Ian Happ, but if I'm Craig Counsell, I would certainly approach him and have a conversation. Be like, hey, listen, man, Ian, you're a great outfielder. You've been the cornerstone for the Cubs for the last 6, 7, 8 years. The longest tenured Cub. We need more from you. You're supposed to be a leader here. We need more from you because his at bats against San Diego were not good. They weren't.
I wish he would have. I wish he would have sat him against Dylan Cease. That 1 for 21 with 12 strikeouts. Like, dude, how do you actually put that guy in your 3-hole, man? That pissed me off. It's the only time in these 3 games I was pissed.
And it's 2 birds, 1 stone, right? Like, you're sending a message to the rest of the team. This is the playoffs. I don't give a shit how long you've been here. I don't give a shit how much we like you. I don't care what kind of guy you're. A nice guy. It doesn't matter. At this point, we're in the playoffs. We're going to do whatever it takes to win. If you can't hit somebody, if you have had a bad pass against somebody, you're going to sit on the bench. And I think that would have been great for the Cubs. I think if they knew, like, hey, Counsell's not messing around. Like, we need to go out there and perform, or you're going to sit your ass on the bench. But I think. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, recent memory, maybe it's biased, but I feel like Ian Happ has played well against the Brewers over the last few seasons. I think there's times where he's like the only guy who is playing well against the Brewers over the last.
If you're asking me, I'm going to change my mind and say yes, we can sit him for game 1.
Peralta, you're going against this, but Sean, don't look up the rest of the guys against Peralta. I don't think it's going to be much better.
Swaggy McNoleg's ass, so I'm going to give it to him. 38 career plate appearances. He's 2 for 32, 2 RBIs. He has a career batting average of .63. It says Hap has largely been dominated by Freddie Peralta. But it says Peralta's history of success extends past Ian Happ to the Cubs batters.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just Freddie Peralta versus the Cubs just hasn't been fun. It hasn't been.
Yeah, I have a feeling, Sean, if you go digging all their numbers outside of maybe PC and Kyle Tucker, I have a feeling you're going to be mightily disappointed. Sean, real quick, Melon Smasher, I love this comment because Sean and I have said this before. Andrew Kittredge is the drunk uncle at the barbecue throwing wiffle balls to his nephews with his beer belly. Love that guy. Thank you, Cubs. Yeah, Andrew Kittredge, I've said this to Sean numerous times. If they were just like, I was sitting in the stands, they were like, Kyle, we've been decimated by injuries. You got to go in there and throw some pitches. His delivery, his form, that's what I would look like throwing pitches.
Yeah.
He just
100%.
he looks like he doesn't give a shit. He looks like, I'm going to throw what I throw. If it gets hit, cool. If
it looks like it's coming in
cool,
at like 50 miles per hour, and then you see the gun, it's 97.
There's very little movement in his delivery. Like, it's just like see ball, throw ball, right? It's not like this huge leg kick in the. I love Kittredge. I think it was a great trade for the Cubs to acquire Kittredge, and I know he's not like the best pitcher in baseball by any means necessary, but there's just something about him, man. There's just something about Kittredge that I love, and he was huge for the Cubs in that series. I know he gave up that run to the Padres to start game 2, but Kittredge had a very damn good series, and I believe, Sean, correct me if I'm mistaken, but he's the only guy who threw in all 3 games, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is.
I mean, obviously, Craig Counsell likes him too, and they're going to lean on him a lot. Listen, you guys, the Cubs have good pitching. They have a team that could beat the Brewers. The problem with the Cubs is I think the Brewers are just deeper because the Cubs have sustained so many injuries. I mean, Sean, here we are talking about who you adding to this roster, and we're using names like Jordan Wicks. Jordan Wicks has pitched all of what? 12 innings for the Cubs this year. Like, and here we are, like, maybe we could bring Jordan Wicks up. Like, that's not good. The Brewers aren't having those conversations. The Brewers know who's going to pitch in the series. We don't, like, because like I said, when you have that consolidated roster like against the Padres and you only need so many players because you're only playing so many games, they look a lot better. But when you're talking about Colin Ray or Javier Assad getting a start, it's a totally different conversation. I mean, the Brewers, Quintana, as much as I'm not a huge fan of Quintana because I think he was terrible with the Cubs, he's been good this year. You talk about guys like Priester. He's had good moments this year. Peralta is the perennial all-star. You know what you're going to get from him.
Wasn't Savali on this postseason roster and he didn't pitch?
He was on the roster. I don't believe he pitched. I don't think so, no.
So you're looking at a guy like Aaron Savali maybe adding to the roster. I'm just looking through possible additions right now. Outside of Savali, I mean, there isn't anybody left. You know, you're going to have to get the best. You're going to have to get the best out of Thielbar, Soroka, Colin Ray, Pomeranz. Pomeranz looked pretty good. He looked pretty good. He was getting that ball up there at 97 miles per hour too. I was sitting there. I'm like, this mother effer's throwing 97 in the playoffs. This guy's like 40.
Dude, they're all like 40. They're all like 40, dude. The whole Cubs bullpen is old. Sean, real quick, Swag McNoleg says Jackson Wiggins.
I wish. Yeah, I don't see that.
And yes, Jedediah Wicks was injured for a massive part of the year. Well, I think most of the year it was injured pretty much.
And for our friends out there that wanted Mo Baller in there, he had 2 at-bats at American Family Field. He was 1 for 2 with a double. So it's a
huge
very
double.
small. It's a
Huge
very small. It was a gapper. It's extended the Cubs lead.
Yeah.
But very, very iffy.
Oh, you're gonna see.
I want to put this to rest. I feel like our audience is very, very smart when it comes to baseball because I haven't had anybody in the chat yet say Mason Miller should have been a Cub. To all the dummies out there that watch this show after we're done that say Mason Miller should have been a Cub, I beg you to go back and look at what the Padres gave up to get him. Because if the Cubs were to do this, you're talking about Matt Shaw, Owen Casey, Cade Horton, and you're finding another top prospect. And I still don't know.
Wiggins.
Yeah, probably. And I don't even know if that's still enough to what Oakland gave or what San Diego gave up to Oakland. Guys, Leo DeVries is a top 3 baseball player in the world. I don't know that the Cubs have someone of that caliber in their organization to begin with.
Maybe Cade Horton, but yeah, outside of that.
Maybe Cade Horton, but they gave up 3, 5, 12, and 13 in their organization to do that. And all 4 are expected to be Major League Baseball players. It's a lot to give up. That's a lot to give up.
Yeah, and that's the Padres are going to feel that because they're running into a situation now where they're probably going to lose Dylan Cease. They might lose Yu Darvish. I mean, it's not like Yu Darvish is all that great anymore.
Suarez's
Anyway.
contract is up.
Yeah, Suarez is. I mean, they're going to lose a big chunk of their team, and there's nothing to replace them with in that farm system. I think the Padres are in for a relatively average year next year. Yeah, Sean. Swag McNoleg says, "Mo Baller's the new Schwarber. See ball, hit ball."
Hey, I would love Mo Baller to get some stuff. I like Harris.
He's going to play in this series.
I really, really like what Craig Counsell did in this series. I'm not again. I give him an A+ for game 1. I give him a B+ for game 3. I'll give him a B for game 2. And the only reason I'm giving him a B,
I'll go a B- for game
3 was because I really thought you saw what you had in Palencia. I thought that Palencia and Keller should go back to back to close this thing out, so you're not putting that stress on Brad Keller. That's the only thing I didn't like, and I'm going to be perfectly honest. Now we're in a 5-game series. I want to see Palencia and Keller back to back at the back end of these ball games, especially if we have the lead. Where you at with the back end of that rotation? Obviously, your matchups. You bring Caleb Thielbar in versus a left-hander, so on and so forth. But
I mean, I like the way he's been using the bullpen. I like the line. I like Brad Keller in the closing spot. I like Palencia on the high leverage. The nitty gritty 7th, 8th inning spots because I think.
I'm okay with that. I just don't want to see him in the 5th inning again.
No. I think the good thing about Dana Palencia is I think he's capable of getting more than 3 outs. So you could put him in the 6th or 7th and hope that he can get into maybe the 7th or 8th. But yeah, Sean, I mean, what I don't understand is Kittredge is a reliever, right? He's been really good as a reliever.
Mm-hmm.
Colin Ray's been really good as a starter. Like if you wanted somebody to, and you knew you were going to use Colin Ray in that second game anyway, you knew you were going to use him because he came in at one point for relief. Why wouldn't you have started Colin Ray? Because I think Kittredge giving up that run, which is no fault of his own. I mean, obviously he's the one pitching, but he's never done that before. It's not surprising he gave up a run. That kind of set the tone for that game. Why wouldn't you have put Colin Ray? And Colin Ray's been great over the last month and a half of the season. I would have had Colin Ray start the game and Imanaga come in the second or the third. Imanaga came into the 3rd inning.
Hey, Mellon, and I'm not knocking what he did. I'm not knocking what he did in game 1 and game 3. I just think you have to make some adjustments moving into this next round. And I'm with you, Kyle. I did not understand the Kittredge start when you had Colin Ray, and you could have maybe pushed Colin Ray 2 innings if he got through the first, and then you had Shota, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6, and you're putting less stress on your bullpen going into game 3. Look. 14.1 innings pitched out of the bullpen, 2 earned runs is fantastic. Well, I still thought there was ways, especially in short series, you could have saved some of those arms in game 2. But again, I gave him a B. It's not like I gave him an F.
Yeah, Craig Counsell was great, and we talked about it. We've both said that numerous times. I mean, you can't just say because they won 3 games he was perfect. Like even when teams win games, they do still make mistakes. And Craig Counsell, he probably would tell you if you sat down with him right now. There's a couple things in that series. For the most part, he did a very good job, but there's a couple things he probably wished he could have changed. I mean, I'm sure every manager is critical of themselves. I hope so. If you think you're perfect all the time, you can never get better. Like that's not good. But I just think, for me personally, guys, and I think that the run that Kittredge gave up. And you heard the announcer saying the Padres felt like they could hit Kittredge. They felt like they knew they studied him overnight. They felt like and he was coming off of playing in the previous game, right? So
that's the thing I hated about it.
One of the last guys to pitch game 1 and the first guy to pitch game 2. So not many hours in between there. And to me, you want to give confidence. A guy like Colin Ray, a guy over the last month and a half, has been absolutely amazing. One of the best Cubs over the last month and a half. I think that would have been a perfect spot for him. Like, hey, Colin, keep doing what you've been doing over the last month. Go in there, get us 2 innings, maybe 3 innings, maybe an inning and a half. I don't know. And we'll have Shota come in and back you up. And I think Colin Ray could have done it. But for some reason, he decided to go Kittredge. The Padres put men on base. It could have been a lot worse. Kittredge should find his way out of there. He did a good job to get out of there. But it didn't make sense to me. It's like I said, you guys, it's in the playoffs, you see managers kind of outsmart themselves. They start to do things they've never done before. And sometimes it can get them in trouble. Now, obviously, sometimes it works out and they look like geniuses. But the Kittredge thing didn't look like it worked out to me. And I said to Sean, when the news came out the night prior that Kittredge was going to start the game, I looked at Sean and said, Sean, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think Colin Ray or Javier Assad should start this game. A one inning pitch, maybe two if you absolutely need it, but I just don't like it. And I'm not going to sit here and harp on Craig Counsell because I think he had a great series. He's definitely part of a big part of the reason why the Cubs are playing the Brewers right now. But when it comes to the Brewers, it's probably going to be a smaller margin for error. So you're probably going to have to be perfect, almost perfect. And I just don't think starting Kittredge in game 2 or 3 would be a good idea for the Cubs. I think they should stick to the guys who got them there, Javier Assad, Colin Ray, Matthew Boyd, Shota Imanaga, and bring those guys in, Kittredge of the world, bring them in relief because that's what they're there for and that's what they're good at. So, but we'll see, Sean. I mean, Sean, do we have any of the matchups outside of game 1?
No, the Cubs haven't even announced their starter.
They don't have to. They don't have to until tomorrow because
I'm assuming it's going to be Assad because Matthew Boyd would be on 4 days rest. J-Mo just pitched. Shota would be on 3 days rest. That's my guess. It's either going to be Ray or Assad. My lean is Assad. Just have Colin Ray ready to back up Assad, say the 3rd inning, and try and preserve your bullpen in game 1, especially if the Brewers jump out to any kind of a lead.
Here's what I want to see tomorrow. I want to see the Cubs pitch Assad or Ray. And then, like Sean said, bring in a long inning reliever like Wicks or Soroka. Because here's the problem, guys. If the Cubs go in game 1 and say the Brewers have a 1-run lead in the 6th inning, I do not want Craig Counsell burning through all of his good bullpen arms to inevitably lose a game against the Brewers. Like if the Brewers get up 2-0 in this game, early, say 4th, 5th inning, I would just chalk it up as a loss and go to live to fight another day and save your Palencias, save your Kittredges, save your Kellers for game 2 because I think Matthew Boyd is more than capable of being Milwaukee Brewers. So I just don't want to see Craig Counsell get himself in trouble or outsmart himself here. If you got Assad pitching and the Brewers scrape out 3 runs against Assad, because we know Assad does get in trouble from time to time, or Colin Ray, say they scrape out 2 runs against Colin Ray, then I'd chalk it up. I mean, once you're going to the 6th, 7th inning, it's still 2-0. Chalk it up as a loss and preserve that bullpen. Like just whatever you do, don't burn the bullpen in game 1.
Yes, please.
To have Matthew Boyd pitch some gem in game 2, and you got to bring in Taylor Rogers to back. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like if you got to give the Brewers a game, especially because obviously you guys, we're coming off much shorter rest, right? I mean, the Brewers have been sitting there waiting for us. We just pitched 3 highly tense, dramatic games. Maybe giving the Cubs another day off game 1 and being like, Assad, just go out there, Soroka, go out there, finish the game. We're going to take a loss and we're going to give the rest of these guys more rest. That would be my mentality, but I'm not a major league manager, so I don't know.
You know what the key thing is, Kyle? Is make him work counts. Because if you go back to Peralta's stats versus the Cubs, he did walk some during this season. I mean, he had 10 walks in 21 innings, worked that count. He only got into the 6th inning in 2 of his starts. One was the 4 and a third, and the other one was a 5-inning start. And that's what you want. Work these counts, get that pitch count high, and get their bullpen tired. Don't be swinging at this high fastball crap. The book was out. San Diego had the book. They worked the Cubs high, and they that's why they struck out 30 Cubs in 3 games. Like, come on, be a little bit more disciplined at the plate. We know you can do it. We watched you do it all year. Settle down, calm down, take these pitches, make him pitch to you. Don't give him free outs, please.
Well, Sean, and the good thing about this series, guys, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't believe in momentum. I'm not superstitious, but I do believe, guys, that the team that's favored, and that's generally the home team, because usually that's the better record, and that's why they're the home team. I believe that there's usually more pressure on that team. Like the Cubs are like, oh, we were a wild card team. We weren't necessarily supposed to be here. You know, just as easily could have been the Padres. The Brewers have the best record in baseball. To lose to the Cubs would be a really bad look for the Milwaukee Brewers. Like, I think the Cubs are going to play a little more free, if that makes sense. A little more loose in this series than they did in San Diego. I mean, that San Diego Padres series was so tense, man. So tense. Every single inning, my heart was pounding, especially in the 8th and 9th inning last night, man. I think I'm gonna pass out. You know, I'm running around at 1,000,000 miles an hour trying to serve 500 people at a bar while Brad Keller's continuously beaming batters. I'm like, oh my God, please, Cubs, don't do this to me. Please give us one series win in Chicago, whether it be the Bears or the Cubs or the Bulls, or like, give us something, please, because we got nothing.
And Jebediah, that's a great point. And I wanted to bring this up a little bit ago, and it kind of escaped my brain. But PCA did show a lot of good plate discipline against the Padres into game 3. The first 2 games were a little shaky.
Game 1, he was not. Did not show.
No, he was swinging. But
he was
you know what I love?
Pitches.
He was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts in game 1 in that era. Game 2, 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. But that pregame, the post-game interview after game 2, when they asked him, he's like, no, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm built for this. I'm ready. Everything's going to be fine. He comes back yesterday, 3 for 4, 3 base hits. He had the knock that extended the Cubs lead. That's what you want to see out of who you think is your future franchise player. And hopefully this gets his table set for this next series, and they can take off where they left off here.
Sean, did you notice this? I didn't notice this. Mike Ross says in game 3 he changed his stance. I didn't see that.
He widened his stance.
Okay, sorry, guy. I was also at work, guys, so I basically got the highlights. Every time everybody started shouting and cheering, I got to look up. But we got our butts whipped yesterday, so I didn't get to see every pitch.
He widened his stance, and he was leaning back a little bit further from the plate. So he made an adjustment. He worked out 3 to 4. They actually broke it down very nicely.
Good for him, man. Good for him. Way to recognize that you're swinging at non-competitive pitches and you need to fix something, because that first game, man. I mean, they basically told their pitching staff, "Hey, just pitch PCA 6 inches high every pitch he's going to swing." At some point, PCA, you got to learn to lay off that pitch. And the Cubs, Sean, I'm fine with the Cubs being aggressive at the plate and it's swinging at borderline pitches. I'm fine with it because they've done a good job of hitting those pitches. But the Cubs, as of late, over the second half of the season, they're swinging at non-competitive pitches, guys. I mean, guys, pitches bouncing off the ground 3 feet in front of the plate, pitches 1.5 feet outside, pitches that the catcher has to stand up to catch. Like, you cannot swing at those pitches against Milwaukee. You need to be disciplined. You need to force the Milwaukee Brewers pitching staff to pitch strikes. You absolutely have to. If PCA can see a couple strikes, there's a good chance he can make one leave the yard. Yeah. But if he's swinging at non-competitive pitches, they're not going to pitch him strikes. They're going to be like, hey, just keep pitching a foot outside, keep pitching a foot high, so keep swinging. Their plate discipline against the Brewers absolutely has to be better than it was against the Padres. 100%. Not a question. Hey, same with Dansby Swanson, man. Dansby Swanson needs to stop golfing.
Can you hear all that noise in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, I think that the Cubs lineup actually matches up well against the Brewers pitching staff, excluding Freddie Peralta. I think there's a good chance Freddie Peralta, if the Brewers only won 2 games in the series, I think there's a good chance it's both of Freddie Peralta starts. But the Cubs match up well against the rest of their pitching staff. And I think the Cubs are capable of chasing these guys out of the game because the Cubs are a pretty good plate discipline team. Like Sean said, they're not high in strikeouts. At one point they were leading baseball in walks. I don't think they are anymore, but they did have good plate discipline early in the season. If they continue to do that against the Brewers, if they did what they did early in the season and work those counts, chase these pitchers out, get them to 35 pitches in the first inning, that will change these games completely. And the Cubs were really good at doing that early on in the season. They just haven't been as good as of late. I mean, listen, guys, this is it. This is your season. That's it. Yep. And it's against your arch rival nemesis, Milwaukee Brewers. Like, go out there and be the team you're capable of being, because we saw it for the first 3 months of the season. So just go do it. Go watch. Even if you have to, go sit down and watch the film from early in the season and go be those guys. Because we know the Cubs could do it. It'd be one thing, guys, if the Cubs had never done it, but we're like, oh, we just looking at these batting averages in their careers. We know they have the potential to be good, but we've never seen it. We've seen it. We've seen it. We saw it. They did it. They looked very good early in the season. Just go beat those Cubs.
Yeah, and before I'm going to get into some predictions and some final numbers, and for those of you guys that like to gamble, I'm going to give you a little inside gambling information that I dug up this morning. But game 2 starter for the Brewers has been announced as Quinn Priester. Quinn Priester versus the Cubs this year. Not so good. Although, I made a mistake. They were 1-2 in his starts. He started 3 games. I forgot to correct that. But a 6.28 earned run average and 14 innings pitched. He did not make it deep in any ball game versus Chicago Cubs this year. 11 walks, 17 hits, 10 earned runs, 10 runs, and the Cubs hit almost 300 against him. This is your game 2 starter. And this is kind of what Kyle and I have been talking about here. If you feel like game 1's going to get away from you, Let it get away from you.
Let it go,
Don't
man.
tax your bullpen. You got
Listen,
Quinn
John,
Priester coming
there's
up.
no shame in losing to Peralta.
No.
Zero.
And here, let's be honest. Jason Mizorowski has not been the same all-star God-sent pitcher that everyone thought he was going to be, as I said before the all-star break would happen.
Yeah, you were right, Sean. His command control, his command issues are rearing their ugly head. And Sean, there was a time where you looked at the Cubs starting rotation, and you're like, oh shit. Or the Brewers starting rotation, you're like, oh shit, the Brewers are good, man. Woodruff and Peralta, Mizorowski was pitching so well. Now you look at it and you're like,
no Woodruff, Mizorowski sucks.
Now, Sean, the same could be said about Brewers fans looking at the Cubs rotation.
Sure,
like
100%.
Colin Ray, Shota Managa, man. But that's what I'm saying. This people look at the Brewers record and how they won the division, and they're like, man, the Brewers are just going to dominate the Cubs. I don't see it. I think they're very similar teams.
Yeah,
if you look at them, the only difference is between these two teams is they have an ace, we don't, and the Cubs hit for power and they don't. The Cubs have to hit home runs. They have to hit home runs, guys. They have to.
If the Cubs sneak out this win versus Freddie Peralta tomorrow at 108 on TBS,
the Cubs are winning the series.
The series is over.
The Cubs are winning the series.
I hate to say that to Brewers fans.
If they beat Peralta in game one with like a Colin Ray or Javier Assad, the Cubs are winning the series.
Yeah,
not a question.
If they do, I think that the Cubs come back to Wrigley up 2-0 and only have to obviously win one of the two, much like they did to win the St. Louis Cardinals the only time we had to match up with those bastards in the playoffs and sent them packing.
But I agree with Swaggy, man. You could not, if you're a baseball fan, could you possibly have asked for a better outcome than Cubs Brewers?
You want to know what's funny, Kyle? We're supposed to go to that big Dallas baseball card show tomorrow, and they switched the hours. They used to open at 9. Now they open at 10. I call Chris. I was like, well, bro, just so you know, at 12 sharp, I'm out. That gives me, I got to walk through the convention center 10 minutes to my car. Then it gives me 20 minutes to get home. And I should be able to have about 15, 20 minutes before the game starts to get a drink or do whatever I got to do to calm my nerves. Because I'll be honest, as soon as they won that series, I thought my nerves, the knots in my stomach would go away. But they're just like with me right now constantly. I cannot get rid of them.
Well, and guys, listen, being a bartender is certainly not the most glorious job in the world. But I'll tell you this. It is a bonus to be the biggest Chicago sports fan on the planet. Obviously, I mean, we are all, everybody in here who's sitting here talking about Cubs baseball right now is obviously a huge Cubs fan. To make more money from the Cubs being in the playoffs and getting to watch the Cubs in the playoffs at the bar is like, it's poetry, man. It's poetry. I mean, you guys, my bar was rocking yesterday, and I love that atmosphere. I love when they hit a home run and the whole bar is screaming, like shaking. It was absolutely amazing. The Cubs fans are legit. They come out in troves, man. If the Cubs can win this series, Sean, and some like dramatic clutch moments, it's gonna be something I'll never forget, because I absolutely despise the Milwaukee Brewers. I despise them. I hate them more than the Cardinals. I hate them more than the Packers. I hate them more than the Vikings. I despise the Milwaukee Brewers. Despise them.
I'll be honest, man. I had to do a family day, and I had volleyball with my daughter yesterday. So that was me at volleyball with the tablet watching this ball game, trying to not.
Sean's the guy in the commercial. You know, like these little girls are playing volleyball, and Sean's like, yeah. They're like, what the fuck is going on over there?
Dude, my wife,
you got like 8 dads behind you looking over your shoulder.
She looked at me a couple times when Bush hit that home run. I go, yeah, and I pounded the table so hard. I'm like, I'm sorry. I was looking around.
Some poor girl gets hit in the face by a spike. She's not looking.
Oh, you know what though? I'll tell you this, man. This series, there's no volleyball this series because it's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, it is Thursday. Game 4 would be Thursday. I'm not going to volleyball that day. It ain't happening.
Avery, you heard it here first. 4-star Chicago Sports. Your dad will not be at your volleyball game.
So as we put this down, I think we've covered most of this.
Yeah, it sucks, Sean, because we can't really do a preview show because we just don't know the pitching matchup. So it's really, really tough to speculate on who's
Well,
going
we
to win.
know I'm pretty confident Boyd's game too.
I am as well.
I'm pretty confident in that, and I'm
I'm guessing Imanaga's game 3. If I was a bet man, I'd say Imanaga's game 3.
And I'm pretty scared when I look at that 1-1, 784 earned run average and a 293 batting average against, and that high walk total, 8 walks versus 5 Ks. I mean, in those games against the Brewers, Boyd just looked absolutely terrible. But playoff Boyd is a real thing, my friends.
It is, man. He likes the lights, too. He loves this shit. And I real quick, Sean, I want to publicly apologize to Jameson Taillon because I've been uber critical of him since joining the Chicago Cubs. And listen, a lot of the stuff I've said, I still think holds true. But man, when he is pitching well, like he has been lately, Jameson Taillon might be the best pitcher on the Cubs when he's pitching well. I mean, outside obviously Steele and Horton because they're not here, but of the pitchers we have left available, even you, Matthew Boyd, you're Shota Monago, when Jameson Taillon is on, he's amazing. The performance he put on yesterday was absolutely phenomenal. And I couldn't be happier with Jameson Taillon.
I honestly thought the way he was pitching, I thought he was going to go through. I thought he was going to get through 7 easy, man. I really did.
He looked great, man.
Cruising, dude.
I mean, the Padres didn't know what to do with him. They obviously absolutely had no idea what to do with him. And you know what is disappointing though, guys, is, and we talked about this, the Cubs have to be better with runners in scoring position. You guys got to be better with runners in scoring position. I mean, what did the Cubs have? 13 hits yesterday?
14, I believe.
And to scrape across 3 runs is not acceptable. Like if you have 14 hits against the Brewers in a game, you need to score more than 3 runs. You absolutely
and here you got to say this too, because you know how lethal and deadly this is, man. Sometimes you got to tip your cap because that Padres bullpen is one of the best bullpens I've ever seen in my life. I mean,
and for that, I don't know how you say his name, Morahan. I don't know,
Morjan or whatever.
Morajan. That guy
is a stud. Can we
the cap, man? Tip the cap, man. Because what did he pitch? 90 pitches?
Yeah, dude.
He was just every day out there, and he looked exactly the same. He didn't lose any velocity at all. I mean, the guy was absolutely amazing. Listen, I'm not saying the Cubs have anything to be ashamed of, but you can't, if you want to beat these teams in longer series, you can't go 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position, 0 for 12 with runners. You can't do that. If the Cubs want to win this series, they have to move the line. And you guys, we know the Cubs have the lineup. They're capable of doing that. There's not an easy out in the Cubs lineup outside of maybe right now. I'd say Matt Shaw's. He's just struggling. He's obviously, you could see it. And he's reaching, he's struggling. He's swinging at bad pitches, not competitive pitches. But outside of Matthew Shaw, which is why he's in the 9 hole, guys. But outside of him, there's not a really easy out. Lost. Yeah, he did. And there's not an easy out in the Cubs. And he's getting the playoff experience, so it's huge for him no matter what. It's good for him no matter what. No matter what. But Sean, give me your breakdown.
Hold on. For my gamblers out there, I'm going to go over a couple things. Get your paper and pencil ready because these are facts.
Ready, bro.
The Brewers have been favored on the money line 97 times this season. They finished with a 60-37 record in those games. That sucks for the Cubs. When they have played as the money line favorite with the odds -147 or shorter, which they are in the first game, Milwaukee has a record of 30-11, a 73.2% win percentage. The Cubs have been underdogs in 46 games this season. They've won 39.1% of those contests. The Cubs have entered 11 games as the underdog plus 122 this year. They are 5-6 in those contests. The Brewers have played 162 games. That's every game this year with the over and underline set, with the combined with their opponents to go over the total 77 times. So that would be 77, 79, and 6. And the Cubs have gone over their total this season in 75 of the 165 games against their opponents. The over-under for this game, my friends, is set at 7. So, as we move into this, Kyle, we've talked about this series all year, going into that 5-game series in late August. I told you I wasn't scared of the Brewers, and the Cubs didn't make me a loser then, and I don't think they're going to make me a loser now, because I said when this playoff started, I think the Cubs could beat the Padres. I said I thought the Cubs could beat the Brewers. This is a matchup that features 2 strong, familiar rivals. So the fact that I think this is going to be a rock fight every single game should be no surprise. Obviously, the Brewers have questions in their rotation outside of Freddie Peralta. The Cubs could get a big boost if there's any way on God's green earth that Cade Horton can return. I'm not going to count on it, but I'm going to count on the guys that have been here and the guys who pitched against the San Diego Padres. I'm going to give the Cubs offense packs more power. I'm going to tilt this series in the Cubs' favor. It's going to be a battle. I'm taking the Chicago Cubs in 5. I will say this, though, Kyle. If they beat Peralta, the Cubs in 4.
I don't think they're going to beat Peralta. I'm going to take the Cubs in 5 as well, Sean. And Sean, give me your player of the series for the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs.
The player the Cubs have to stop is going to be Bryce Terang. I don't think there's any doubt about that. For the Cubs, I'm gonna give my pick to Click. I'm gonna go with Pete Crow Armstrong.
So am I.
I'm gonna go with PCA. Yeah.
My player of the series is going to be PCA because it has to be PCA.
Yeah,
it has to be PCA. If the Cubs want to beat, if they want to beat the Brewers, it doesn't have to be all home runs. It could be just a menace on the base path, just saving runs in center field like he always is. Just create havoc like PCA is capable of doing. PCA is my player of the series. He has to have a good series for the Cubs to win this series, as does Tucker. But I think PCA is just more electrifying. I think he's more of a momentum builder for a team like the Cubs. And then I think the player of the series for the Brewers is going to be Peralta because I think he's going to pitch more than twice.
You know what? And I invite that. I hope they pitch him in Game 4 because that would be on 4 days rest. And last time they did it against the Cubs absolutely beat the shit out of him. So please do that.
I think might see him start 2 games and then maybe come in a relief if it came down to Game 5. I think there's a very strong possibility that Peralta
that could very well be.
Not in any shape or form is he off the table of doing anything.
And when you look at these games, I know this is really small. I just clipped this off the internet really quick. 10-0, 6-2, 4-0, 5-3, 8-7, 8-4, 9-3, 10-3. I mean, a lot of these games were lopsided. There was only 2 one-run games in this entire set this year, that 8-7 and that 4-3. So I do expect it to be tighter than that, though. I do.
Bruce has Seiya Suzuki as his player of the series.
And for those who didn't see this, look who brought the Cubs some luck, man. Yeah, in Game 3.
Good, better, best.
Go better, best. Never let it rest.
John says PCA is his player of the series. Jebediah says Bruce Seiya is a good
And John, I'm working on some things right now. I'll shoot you a holler back on Messenger when I got something out your way. And I have a suggestion for Nike. Can we have a new Jumpman feature outside of Michael Jordan? I think another Chicago figure should jump on the Nike bandwagon, and I think we should throw Nico Horner out there for the Chicago Cubs as the Chicago Cubs honorary Jumpman. Put him on some baseball shoes, folks, because Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson up the middle are unbelievable. And you know what? They did sneak 2 base hits, but those were kind of far. And that one that went off his glove, I was like, whatever. You know, it was out of his reach. He was still fully extended.
I mean, nothing got by Dansby Swanson. No. Nothing.
And you know what? That
Nothing.
defense continues. And that's one of the reasons why I think Ian Happ is so important. I know his stick. I would just like him to lower his stick in this order down to 8. You know, get him down, but put him down at the bottom of the order. See if you can bring someone else up and spark something.
Yeah, but you could bring PCA back up PCA. It looks like he started. I mean, I know he hasn't been the PCA of early guys, but in the last 10, 12 games, he has been better than he was after the All-Star break. He's definitely been better than that. And Sean, real quick, Swaggy McNolegs, I'm going to guess Nico's his player of the series because if he gets 10 plus hits, he should be the player of the series.
He should be.
Mr. Consistent. And you guys, I picked Nico to be the player of the series last series, and I know that it didn't look all that great on paper, but Nico got robbed, 3 times against them.
Yeah.
I mean,
The Cubs got robbed of some pretty good hits. And they
balls that
got
were
robbed.
crushed, and they just went right to somebody. I'm like, man, God.
And the Cubs got robbed, and that's what you're talking about. If you're talking about if there is a stat, and I didn't look it up about luck in baseball, and I will tell you this right now. In game 2, the Cubs are very unlucky because they did hit some balls dead nuts off of Dylan Cease. They just happened to be right at somebody, and that happens.
Then you had the ballerina catch by Fernando Tatis and right field. Yeah. I think it was on Bush, or maybe it was Horner.
Oh, that fully extended one over.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I like Tatis. I don't want to sit here and bash him, but
I love Tatis. He's one of my favorite players. That
jump was very like it looked very like ballerina style dancing.
And you know what? I hope that Seo's bat is continues to stay hot, because 50 at bats and 22 strikeouts versus the Cubs rival in the division is god awful. That 120 batting average against the Brewers this year is god awful. But we're gonna need him if he's gonna stay in that 3-4 hole for the Cubs. The top half has to produce, man. They have to produce in this series.
Outside of Matt Shaw, because I liked Matt Shaw at third base. I think he's their best option in terms of defense. But outside of Matt Shaw's bat, like, you expect him to struggle as a rookie playing in his first playoff series ever. The Cubs need every single damn person on this roster to have a good series, man. They need everybody to show up. And I think you're going to see guys like Alcantara and Ballesteros play a role in some way, shape, or form in this series. I think it's going to be all hands on deck kind of series. I think, like I said, I got the Cubs winning in 5. There's going to be a lot of dramatic moments. It's going to be some moments that piss you off more than anything in the world. There's going to be some moments that piss Brewers fans off more than anything in the world. But I think the Cubs can win this series. They should win this series. Now, Sean, in case we're not back, I mean, we're going to have an end of the season recap show. But if the Cubs do somehow win the series, I'm not going to say the same thing about Philly. I'm not taking the
me either,
or the Dodgers, to be honest.
This is the last series in which I have the Cubs winning in this season. We're playing with free money after this.
Yeah, I mean, if they have to face the Phillies or Dodgers, I just don't. When you talk about those pitching staffs, I don't like those matchups at all for the Cubs.
Christopher Sanchez, forget about it, dude. Suarez, forget about it. I don't like that. The back end of that bullpen, it's that's going to be a really fun series, and I wish this was a 7-game series, because that Phillies-Dodgers series should be a lot of fun, man. It really, really should.
It's going to be. Those are the big boys, man. That could be the World Series.
And you know what, Kyle? I don't know if you saw this. Let's play this really quick. I thought this. I just got to say, stay classy, San Diego, because this was fucking classless, man. They literally attacked the umpires.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they literally attacked the umpires, dude.
That is disgusting. That's absolutely
Stay classy, San Diego. And again, you know what? They're pissed off about this pitch. I understand it wasn't a strike, but it wasn't egregious either. It wasn't like, I mean, if you look at it, it's even with the knees. That could have very well, and if that's what the umpire's looking at, I can understand why it was a strike call. And I understand if it was against the Cubs. I don't know if I would have a different opinion. I might a little bit.
I'll tell you this, Sean. I guarantee you for a fact, if it was against the Cubs, they wouldn't have had that reaction that the Padres coaching staff should have. That's ridiculous. That's disgusting. Listen, you guys, there's a lot of human error in baseball. It is by far the sport with the most human error. It happens all the time. Matthew Shaw in the first 2 games absolutely got hosed by the umpire. Every time he came up to bat, the first pitch of the at-bat was an inch outside, an inch up, an inch down, and he called a strike. And now you're starting your at-bat off 0-1. He just as easily could have been just as pissed off as the Padres were. Now, obviously, I understand it's a much more tense moment when that pitch was missed, because the Padres were starting to make a little bit of a run there. But it's baseball. Mistakes are made. It's going to happen for the rest of our lifetime watching the sport. You act like a man. Don't be a sore loser. Walk off, shake hands with each other, end your season, go home. That is not acceptable. I didn't see that, Sean, until you just played that. That is disgusting.
Yeah, it was. I saw that this morning. I was like, oh my God. Like, the umpires are like pointing back at them. Like, I don't know what they said, but wow, dude.
A lot of F-bombs. There was a lot of F-bombs. I heard that.
And you know what?
There's going to be a lot of fines from that, Sean.
And here, if your top 3 aren't 0 for 11 and you aren't 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position in this ball game, because the Cubs gave you opportunities and the pitching staff was able to get out of it for the Northsiders. So if those weren't the situations, and say they were 4 for 8 with runners in scoring position, and the top half of the order was 4 for 11, and it was a 4-3 ball game, and they had runners on, I'm with you, but didn't do enough for 9 innings to hang your hat on one bad call and say, I lost this game because of this bad call.
Real quick, what's up, King J Bird 92? Appreciate you joining the show, man. He says they showed this. They said, it could be a woman. I'm sorry. He said they showed that same pitch from the umpire's vision cam. I can see why the ump would make a mistake like that. Yeah, I mean, you guys, that's a tough job to do. I mean, as much as we criticize,
look at this.
As much as we criticize home plate umpires, that is one of the toughest jobs in all of sports. Absolutely. I mean, no matter what, you're going to miss pitches. No matter what, somebody's going to be unhappy with you. Mistakes are made. It happens all the time. Like I said, there was plenty of pitches missed against the Cubs as well. They just weren't as high leverage situations, so It didn't make as big of a deal. But I mean, it happens in every game, every single game. And you know what? That's part of the sport. The Padres organization, the players, the coaches, they know that. They were just sore losers. They were upset that they were knocked out of the playoffs, and they didn't want to go home. So they decided to attack the umpires. That's disgusting. You should never, ever, 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 ever physically touch anybody because of a sport. Ever. Yeah, that is not acceptable. And then they were physically contacting those guys. They're attacking them. That is not acceptable. And I hope
my question is, why don't they walk in the home dugout? Why are they walking in the visitors dugout? I thought they went through the home dugout, but
I don't know, maybe they have an option, and the Padres coaches said they wanted to talk to him after the game. I don't know. I mean, but that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable.
Oh God, I'm still catching. Here's another Padres fan. You have no idea what happens after that. Possibly color is pulled after that pitch. It's called a ball. But Cubs had their guys ready to go. The fact is, you have an entire game to score runs. Yeah, okay, this is the Cubs fan striking back. I've actually had some really good banter on this tweet this morning, which I've had almost 10,000 people look at, and over 500 people respond so far. And there's actually a lot of Brewers fans on here this morning on X, and we've had some really good banter, and I've wished them good luck in this series. They've wished me back good luck, and they said I've gotten some we finally found a Cub fan that isn't an asshole. Thanks for being respectful, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to get into it with them, but that goes both ways. There's a lot of Brewers fans that are assholes, and I just have to say the Brewers still only have 2 series wins, I believe, in their franchise history, and I don't believe that this is going to be their 3rd. So we'll leave it.
You mean in the playoffs?
In the playoffs, correct. Yeah. And I don't believe –
and Sean, every fan base has good people. And every fan base has assholes. They exist in everything. And there are Cubs fans who are absolutely assholes for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, guys, it's sports. It's all for fun. We're not on the field. You know, we're not playing for the team. It's all for fun. It's something that shouldn't change your life. You have no control over it. It's all good fun. If the Cubs lose, it's going to suck. But I'll tip my hat to the Brewers and move on. And the next year is a new year. But I hope the Cubs beat this team because I hate this team more than any team. I'll tell you this, Sean. That video you just showed me, the Padres are moving up my list of.
Yeah, that was really fun.
I've never seen anything like that, dude. I've never seen anything like that in baseball ever. I've seen the umpire. I've seen the coach get into it, the manager get into it with one umpire. I've never seen the entire team attacking the entire umpire staff.
Pretty crazy shit. But ladies and gentlemen, our time has come to pass on the Northside 9. And as we get out of here, I'm going to play it in the background because baseball season is underway, and we got 3 more to win. Let's go get it. We'll see y'all. We'll see y'all here next. Here, if the Cubs wrap this up, we'll be back ahead of the next series, whether that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll figure that out as this series wraps up. But we will be back to wrap this up. And don't forget, our season finale, we're gonna have Alex Cohen from the Chicago Cubs radio booth in here, and he's gonna wrap the season up with us. And don't forget, this Monday on the House Hall Hangover, we're gonna have Mr. Pearson, sideline reporter for the Chicago Bears, on the breaking down the first 4 games with us. So we hope to see y'all Monday. and the Cubs will be up hopefully 1-0 in this series on Monday. Let's pray to God.
Go Cubs, guys. Let's go, man.
Let's go
Let's
to Cubs,
do this
baby.
shit.
Until next time, boys and girls, we love y'all. Peace and go Cubs!
Yeah, man. Take care of yourself so you can take care of each other, man.